This episode is in partnership with Taylor Brands. Taylor Brands is an all-in-one platform that brings affordable branding and design to any entrepreneur or small business owner. Taylor Brands makes it super easy to kickstart your business idea and look professional online with tools like an online logo maker, branded business cards, website builder, domains, and even branded designs for social media. Just go to taylorbrands.com, try it for free, and when you're ready to purchase, use the coupon code Sierra Nicole 20 to get 20% off. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your favorite entrepreneur here, Sierra Nicole, and we are back with another episode of The Boss Seat. The Boss Seat is a show where we interview different individuals who are absolutely killing it in their respective fields, and you get the chance to see what it costs to really be a boss. So let's go ahead and check out today's guest, Matt Phifer. He has grown a massive social media following, and his page is extremely unique, and so I wanted to introduce him to you guys. So Matthew, please let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Matthew Phifer. I am a toxic relationship specialist. I have a master's in clinical mental health counseling from St. Bonaventure University in upstate New York. But I live now, I just recently, a couple of years ago, moved back home to Dallas, Texas, so I'm here with Sierra. And I do a lot of teaching and do a lot of content creation for my to not only to drive business in terms of my coaching and in terms of therapy, that sort of thing, but also to teach people about toxic relationships, in particular narcissistic abuse, which sometimes can be physical, but sometimes there can be things and wounds that are very unseen in terms of emotional and mental abuse as well.
Yeah, and I know that, it's a topic that not many people like to talk about, but it's definitely very much needed. And so I definitely commend you for, spreading this information education on such a worldwide platform.
Thank
so
you.
That's awesome. What made you get into this realm?
It was kind of a transition. I always wanted to do something with relationships. I initially went to school to be a marital and family therapist, just a traditional one, just like a lot of other counselors and therapists do. And the first job offer, just like a lot of other people, when you get out of school, you take the very first job that you're offered. Well, the internship that I was in was the very first job offer I had, and it was in the addictions field. And I was trying to avoid addictions like the plague, but it ended up really, really catapulting me into what I'm doing now, because it's the same part of the brain that deals with toxic and narcissistic relationships.
Interesting.
The other part to that was that when I was there, there's a lot of comorbidity with narcissism and drug addiction. So a lot of narcissists were court mandated to come see me. So I was pretty much thrown into the fire.
Right.
And so, long story short, that really accelerated a lot of my education in terms of learning about abuse and learning about how to treat it, how to coach people who are people who are considered codependents, and people who are victims of abuse. And so, as I moved forward, I kind of took a break from therapy, but I got a call from a good friend of mine, Rashida Anderson. She's on social media as well. And she asked me one time to do a podcast just like this on toxic relationships. Well, it went viral. And I had no idea, I didn't realize at the time that the knowledge that I had was as needed as what I do now. And so she asked me to come back. Another one went viral, and it just kind of, I was like, you know what, let me see where this road leads. Because I was already kind of coaching and doing some other things, and so I was like, let me see where this takes us.
Wow. And so for those who are watching right now who may not know exactly what a narcissist is or what it means to be codependent, can you maybe give a little bit of background as to what that actually
So,
means?
someone who is narcissistic, they have a grandiose sense of entitlement. Someone who, long story short, they take no responsibility for their actions, good, bad, and indifferent. They have no respect for people's boundaries. The problem, though, with narcissists is that they're also very, very charming. They also they sway people. They're, a lot of times they can be very good looking. They can have and a lot of times when I describe narcissism, sometimes people think that they can't hold like a good job. It could be you, or it could be I. It could be a pastor of a mega church. It could be a lawyer, a doctor. On the surface, and when they're at work, when they're presenting at school, they can be very charming and very charismatic. But behind closed doors, they can be complete monsters to people who are closest to them. Very verbally, mentally, physically abusive, not only to their husband, wife. It can be both. It can be man or woman, and they can be very abusive to children, and it leaves long-lasting traumatic effects for people. And what happens, and a lot of people know narcissists, and a lot of people, everyone knows someone that has been through an abusive relationship, and you say things like, just leave, just leave, just leave.
Right.
The problem is that you just leave. And what people don't realize is that the person that has left, the person that was victimized, is literally addicted to the person that was abusive to them.
Wow, really?
And so that's the reason why so going back to what I was talking about in terms of the addictions world, it's the reason why, and everyone knows someone like this, that you leave a relationship, get back into it, leave.
Right.
What is that? That is relapse. Right? It's the same cycle that someone who is relapsing off of heroin or trying to come off heroin. As a matter of fact, people who leave these type of relationships have the same withdrawal symptoms as someone who's trying to come off heroin. There's that many parallels between addiction and toxic relationships.
Wow, that's really interesting because, like you said, you hear that a lot. People ask, well, why don't you just leave? It should be easy, just get up and leave. But clearly it's not. And so I think it's really important to have that awareness and that education portion to even know, what maybe, someone you may know may be going through that.
Right.
So it's extremely important just to be aware. As far as, your business, so you've grown, pretty large social media following on this education. Can you tell me a little bit of, what has that been like, especially since the topic that you teach about can be seen as a little bit taboo?
It's so way back when I wanted to become a therapist, I never wanted to just be a therapist. I always wanted there to be kind of like my own spin to it, so to speak, like a little bit more swag to it than just going and laying on a couch and someone just talking to you, right? So when TikTok started coming around, and I started doing a lot of things on Instagram, I always wanted it to have like an entertainment factor to it, because if you think about it, people have no problem retaining music. People have no problem retaining lines from reciting lines from their favorite movie, that sort of thing. So it becomes very sticky whenever you start quoting lines. And so when you start to incorporate entertainment to things that you're learning, it sticks with people.
Right.
And that's what people say about the content that I put out, that they remember. And a lot of people save it because they know that it's stuff that they can rehearse in it, and it's stuff that they can take with them. A lot of people who are not even clients of mine, or it's helping them get out of situations just by the content that myself and other coaches are putting out.
And that's really powerful. It's really powerful, especially for those who might be in a toxic relationship situation. I'm sure it can be difficult, to reach out or find people who can really help. And so to be able to help so many people virtually, especially with, the shutdown, everything going on, I'm sure that's been a huge change, but I think that's amazing. That's really amazing. With your social media, have you received any backlash from people?
100%. And so for people who are getting into this, you're going to have to develop a thick skin, and that thick skin is initially going to come from the pushback that you get from people that are closest to you. And the people that are closest to you, and sometimes they, I always say that just because someone's in your circle does not mean that someone's in your corner.
That's powerful.
Meaning that they could be someone that you've known in your entire life, but the minute that you step out and you start doing things that are, like you said, taboo, or are different from the norm. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people said, just go get a normal job, just go do this. Your videos are stupid. No one's, no one's thinking about this. And this was obviously before things really started to escalate. But you got to get to a point where you just believe in yourself. You just, stay the road, stay the track, and it gets to a point where you tune out both people who are being negative, and you also don't want to get too high on the praise either, because you don't want to think of yourself as you don't want to overthink that, start to get a big head, so to speak, and just always kind of stay even keel. So but those downtimes where you have people that are closest to you talking negative about the things that you put out, it actually helps grow a thick skin for the trolls when you grow. Right, because now it's people that I don't know that are talking crap, right? So now, like, who are you? Like, people that were close to me did that was hurtful. The ones that I don't know, like, that just doesn't resonate. So
exactly. And so I guess it's important for someone who is trying to venture out, maybe grow their social media brand, maybe a therapist. It's important for them to remember that, to, like you said, ignore, or do the best you can to grow that thick skin, to ignore the negativity, but like you said, don't get too high on the praise. So I think that's a really important notion that you just mentioned. With someone starting out in your field, what advice can you give them from like a therapy standpoint? If someone wants to, do something that you do, how can they get started?
Be true to yourself. What I tell people is you have to find peace within yourself first before you try to start to pour peace into other people. And so the things that have affected and impacted you the most, and just follow the road, right? It will take you into, you don't have to like try to be like me or try to be like, I'm trying to think of people in my industry like Dr. Romney, other people like that. Be yourself, but try to have an impact. Look for a problem. Try to solve the problems that are like right next to you. So for me, like I was talking about, I started out just by solving problems with people that were struggling with an addiction, not realizing that it was really going to impact where I really actually wanted to be with relationships.
And that's interesting. I like how you said, just be yourself. Because there can be 1,000 people doing the same thing that you do, but there's only one you, and that flavor and that originality that you bring, that like you bring to your social media or someone else brings to their social media, is going to be different. So it's really important to keep that uniqueness for sure.
And for example, most people don't notice this, but most of the music that I use, all hip hop, all R&B. Because that's the music that I like. Right. And so people that resonate with that, and if they don't, that's fine. There's other people for them, right? The movie lines or the skits that I use, it's movies that I like. The ones that, there's a lot of skits that I'm going to be putting out this week. It's from stuff that I watched this past week, right? It's stuff that resonate with me. If it's touched you, if it's stuff that's resonated with you, then there's other people that it's going to pop with and resonate with as well.
That's so true. That's so true. How do you balance, growing in your social media and educating people on social media, but then also, I'm sure you have clients that are, not virtual, or, how do you balance all of that?
You have to, number one, you have to find that goes back to what I was talking about, finding your own peace, right? And when you realize that your peace is starting to be disrupted, then you need to find out what it is. Am I not managing my time wisely? Do I need more rest? And you start to analyze your life, like what is disrupting my peace? And then once you find what that is, then you correct it, whatever it is. It might be a person, it might be people, it might be, it might be related to finances or whatever it is, but then you just solve and you fix that, and then that's how you begin to find that balance.
Interesting. So if you guys are watching this live right now, go ahead and find your peace down in the comment section, because that is so extremely important. With everything going on, 2020 was a crazy year. What were some changes that you saw maybe within, your business or your career that you had to deal with everything going virtual?
Well, for me personally, it really enhanced everything, because I was virtual before therapy was like before it was
Oh,
a virtual
really?
thing.
Okay.
That was so. Going back to what I was talking about with people talking crap about me going into this direction, I said back in like 2014 when I got fired from a job that I wanted to go back to school, finish up everything, and become a virtual therapist. And everyone thought I was crazy back then for saying that.
Right.
And then then all of a sudden, so I was already geared up, and then 2020 hit, and all of a sudden everything popped.
Wow.
And so it just came, everything all came together. While everyone was like a lot of therapists, I don't want to say all, but a lot of therapists were scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to try to figure it out. Well, here I am.
Right.
I'm ready to go, and so everything just kind of really just fell together.
That's perfect. I guess you were a little bit ahead of your time, but having that preparedness, so I guess you didn't really have to adjust, but it really magnified what you were already doing.
Right.
For someone who is going through, a toxic relationship or some type of relationship abuse, what steps can they take right now if they're watching this in order to maybe escape the situation or just seek help?
Number one, they need an exit plan. They need a plan A and a plan B. Plan A sometimes can take several weeks, sometimes maybe a couple months, depends on how much of an enmeshment there is. Because all narcissists, all abusers, and they're doing it for one reason, they're doing it for control. So a lot of times they're controlling finances, kids, family, so you have to understand that you cannot get out of these type of relationships unscathed. It's not going to be like you're going to sit down at a coffee shop and end things cordially. That's not going to happen. Right. So it's going to have to be a situation, and I'm not saying that in a healthy relationship, by all means, like do those type of things, but in a toxic relationship, it's going to have to be a situation where you're leaving basically at the drop of a hat. So you have to prepare for that. So there needs to be a plan A where you're planning, maybe you're putting money aside. If they're controlling finances, maybe you're sneaking money aside. But a plan B where it's like, oh crap, they found out, I need to leave with the clothes on my back. And that means that, you need to incorporate friends and family. You got to swallow your pride. You might need to find a couch to crash on. But you just need a plan A and a plan B, as a backup.
Right, and that's important. And so if you guys are watching this right now, please make sure you're hitting that share button because I'm sure there's someone out here who needs to hear this message today. So that's why I wanted to make sure that, we at least touched on that in case there was somebody who was watching this and needs that information. So I definitely appreciate that. I don't want to hold you too long, but everyone who comes on the show, I always ask them this one question. And, the boss seat, like I said, is all about people who are killing it in their fields. But for you, what does it mean to be a boss?
Freedom. That's what it means. It means to be free. It means to be, for me, it means that you are the one that is answering for your own life. It's about you leaving a legacy for yourself and the legacy that you want to leave and the impact that you want to leave on the world and on the people that are around you. So to me, being a boss means that you have your own freedom. You have control, and you're the one that is answering for your own life.
I love that. Freedom. Guys, if you're watching this live right now, go ahead and put freedom down in the comment section. Matthew, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that value. I know that there's someone out here who needs to hear your message. Where can people find you if they want to look you up on social media?
I'm all over social media, so you can find me at mattphifercoaching.com is my website. You can go to Matt Phifer Coaching on TikTok and Instagram. My podcast is Toxic to Triumph, and I'm also on Facebook, and that's also Matt Phifer Coaching on Facebook as well.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we go ahead and throw your website link down in the description box for the video. So if you guys want to reach out, please make sure you do so. Again, thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us today. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you're hitting that share button. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leaves us some comments down below. And thank you guys again for tuning in for another episode of The Boss Seat. And we're going to catch you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Boss Seat. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button, and you can catch us right after this show on the Live Waves app. You can download the app in your Apple Store or Google Play Store. It's free. Go ahead and create you an account, and you can catch me there under Sierra Nicole with some bonus content for you. So I'll catch you guys there in a few minutes.